Commissioner Coleman is here.
Good morning, Commissioner Coleman.
Good morning, everyone.
Maida, how you healing?
You know, I am on the mend big time. I actually go back in for my second follow-up with my, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I go in today for my follow-up with my doctor. I'm pretty sure he's going to release me, and you're going to be seeing my bright and sunshiny face next week, probably.
Wow, that is that's great to hear. I'm glad it's going well, and I know some other people have had the same surgery, and you must be really strong because you're bouncing back a lot better than my friends. So.
Well, you know, I have to find some wood to knock on when I say that I always have had a high tolerance for pain. So really the big issue has been some swelling and stuff like that. But I've only had to take 3 pain pills since being released from the hospital. And one was the day they took the 25 staples out of my knee. But I'm doing pretty good. So you should see me soon.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad you're doing well. We look forward to seeing you, but don't rush if it impedes your long-term healing process.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Kolkmeyer, you're on the line as well?
I am, yes.
Wonderful. Well, all the commissioners have assembled, so we can call to order agenda meeting for the Missouri Public Service Commission on September 21st at 10:15. Clock is right about time. Excellent. So before we start, everyone on the phone, if you can mute your phones unless you need to speak so that everyone else can hear. We have 4 tariffs and new orders today, 1 case discussion, and 3 other discussion items. But before we dive into that, we need to approve the minutes from the 14th of September's agenda meeting. I do know those have been distributed in advance. Commissioners, is there any questions or comments on those minutes? Hearing none, then I'll make a motion. We go ahead and approve the minutes from the September 14, 2023 agenda meeting. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed? The ayes have it. It is approved 5-0. All right on into tariffs and new orders. First up today is file number GT 2024-0054 in the matter of Liberty Utilities or Mid-States Natural Gas Corp, DBA Liberty, filing of its revised weather normalization adjustment rider or WNAR tariff. So back on September 1st, Liberty filed its provisions revisions to its WNAR tariff sheets. And then on September 13th, staff of the commission filed its recommendation that the commission should approve those tariff sheets filed by Liberty. So with this tariff filing, the residential customers in Liberty's Northeast and West rate districts using 100 CCF in a given billing month will see an estimated $3.05 increase in their bill from their current WNAR rate. And for customers in Liberty's Southeast rate district, a residential customer that uses 100 CCF in a given billing month will see an estimated $2.39 increase in their bill from the current WNAR rate. No other responses to the tariff sheets were filed at this time, set by the commission. So the commission will approve these tariff sheets to become effective October 1st, 2023. I recommend we approve the order, version number 1. Commissioner Cole.
I support the order.
Commissioner Holzman.
I'm in support of the order.
Commissioner Kolkmeyer.
I'm in support of the order.
Commissioner Hahn.
Also in support.
Great. All those in favor of supporting that order, please say aye.
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 That is approved by a vote of 5-0. Next up, file number GT 2024-0055 in the matter of Liberty Empire Gas filing of its revised weather normalization adjustment rider tariff. And on September 1st of this year, Empire District DBA Liberty filed its proposed revisions for its weather normalization adjustment rider tariff sheets. And on the 13th of the same month, staff filed its recommendation that we should approve those tariff sheets filed by Empire. With the tariff filing, residential customers of the Empire's North, Northwest, and South rate districts using 100 CCF in a given billing month will see an estimated $1.63 increase in their bill from the current WNAR rate. Similarly, small general service class customers in those districts will see an estimated $1.90 increase in their bill from the current WNAR rate for every 100 additional 100 CCF consumed in a given bill month. No other responses were received to the tariff sheets filed. Therefore, the commission can approve these tariff sheets to become effective on October 1st, 2023. I recommend we approve this order, version number 1. Commissioner Coleman.
I support the order.
Commissioner Holton.
I'm in support of the order.
Commissioner Kolkmeyer.
I'm in support of the order.
Commissioner Hahn.
Also in support.
Great. All those in favor of supporting that order, version number 1, please say aye.
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 That is approved by a vote of 5-0. Next up, file number WC 2022-0295, the staff of the Missouri Public Service Commission complainant versus I-70 Mobile City, Inc., DBA, I-70 Mobile City Park respondent. So on April 22nd of 2022, the staff of the Missouri Public Services Commission filed a complaint with the commission against I-70 Mobile City Park. An evidentiary hearing was set for October 18th of 2022, but staff filed a motion to suspend the procedural schedule because of the issues of obtaining discovery. Then on November 23rd of 2022, I-70 Mobile City Park filed a motion for summary determination. Staff filed a motion to stay the response for a time for that motion, again, based upon its inability to obtain sufficient discovery to answers of the summary determination motion. On January 29th of 2023, Cole County Circuit Court entered an order and judgment in favor of the commission and ordered I-70 Mobile City Park to agree upon a reasonable date for the inspection within 30 days of the effective date of the court order. On August 23rd of this year, staff informed the regulatory law judge that it received sufficient discovery to answer the outstanding summary determination motion. And on September 8th, staff filed a motion to set an evidentiary hearing. It has been almost a year since an evidentiary hearing was originally set for this complaint. Accordingly, this order will set a firm date for staff to respond to respondent's summary determination motion and a firm date for an evidentiary hearing. I recommend that we approve this order, version number 2. Commissioner Coleman.
I support the order.
Commissioner Holton.
I'm in support of the order.
Commissioner Kolkmeyer.
I support the order.
Commissioner Hahn.
Also in support.
Great. All those in favor of supporting that order, version number 2, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Vote of 5-0. File number ER 2024-0027, the matter
How
of
many employees do you think the state has? Over 50,000 or from 0 to 50?
Thank you very much, Judge. We appreciate you muting that person.
Unfortunately, don't have the power today, but I'm.
All right. Just remind everybody that's on the phone, please mute your phones so we don't pick up your background conversations. So I'll start over here. Final number ER 2024-0027, matter of Evergy Metro, Inc., DBA Evergy Missouri Metro, for authority to implement rate adjustment required by 20 CSR 4240-20.090 subsection 8 and the company's approved fuel and purchase power cost recovery mechanism. So on July 31st, Evergy Missouri Metro submitted a tariff sheet revising its fuel adjustment rate of its fuel adjustment clause for the accumulation period ending June 30th. Evergy Missouri Metro also submitted in file EO 2024-0026 its 13th true-up filing for its FAC. Then on August 28th, staff filed this recommendation regarding Evergy Missouri Metro's true-up, where staff reviewed the calculations, including the interest amounts, and agreed with those calculations. And staff recommends the commission approve the true-up filing for inclusion in Evergy Missouri Metro's adjustment. So based on the monthly usage of 1,000 kilowatts per hour, the proposed change will increase the fuel adjustment clause of a residential customer's monthly bill by 30 cents from 96 cents to $1.26 per month. The FPA will be effective for the billing months of October 2023 through March 2024. This order will approve the unopposed FAC true-up filing and proposed tariff. Recommend we approve this order, version number 2. Commissioner Coleman.
I support the order.
And Commissioner Holden.
I support the order.
Or Kolkmeyer?
I'm in support.
Also in support.
Great. All those in favor of supporting that order, please say aye.
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 That is approved by a vote of 5-0. All right, so that finishes up tariffs and new orders. Heading on into case discussion in file number ET 2024-0061, matter of the joint application of Evergy, Missouri, DBA Evergy, Missouri Metro, and Evergy, Missouri West for approval of tariff revisions to its TOU program. Judge, how are you?
Good, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well.
I just wanted to put this memo on to kind of update the commission on what's going on. Evergy filed an amended application Monday evening, and Evergy has removed most of its requests for relief, simply asking the commission to approve its amended application to change the TOU default rate from the high differential to the low. I've ordered responses be in by Monday, and so by Monday evening, Tuesday morning, we should have a good idea on the parties' positions. And I would plan to likely have something on agenda next week, perhaps ruling on the amended application. Evergy has asked for approval so that it can get the default TOU rate into effect by October 14th. So you do have a little time, depending on what the responses are Monday. And that's really about all I have, unless the commission has any questions.
Okay, so procedurally here, so they filed the application with tariff sheets. Then they filed an amended application without tariff sheets.
Correct.
So if we don't do anything, the original filing with the tariff sheets go into effect in August or in October?
That's correct. You would need to, if you don't want those tariffs to go into effect, which again, Evergy has withdrawn most of its requests for those tariffs, the commission would need to reject those tariffs, assuming they're not substituted. Yeah, those tariffs are still pending and you still have time to rule on those.
So their amended application without tariff sheets, does that change anything on that, or do they need to file tariff sheets for that to remove the original application? Or if they just don't, we still would have to rule on the original application tariff sheets?
You're still going to need to eventually rule on the original tariff sheets. The company said if the commission approves the amended application, it would plan to file new tariffs. Of course, those are going to be 30-day tariffs, but they asked that they be in effect by October 14th. So they would presumably file a motion for expedited treatment with the new tariffs, asking they go into effect by October 14th.
So we would need to reject the original filing regardless of what the company were to file in a tariff sheet in the future.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Judge. It
You're welcome.
was getting confusing there. So, let's see, where do we want to start with this?
I don't necessarily need any guidance today. I mean, you're certainly welcome to discuss whatever you'd like, but again, I don't know what the parties are going to file by Monday. So I just wanted to throw that out for you.
So you don't need to know anything by today. Why are we having the discussion? It seems to me like we have two issues here. We have a policy issue and we have a procedural issue. The policy issue on the default rate on the TOU. I mean, we had those discussions when we were dealing with the original case. And you can make arguments for both. We went back and forth on that. At the end of the day, the goal is to have people have the ability to choose a rate that's best for them. And how we came down on the default rate being what it was is because that's the one where they're going to save the most money. So there's policy discussions. We can agree and disagree on what the best the default rate is, but that was kind of like the discussions we had was, the math says this is really going to save the most money. But setting aside the policy side, you got to look at the procedural point. And we've already had 3 responses to the filings from OPC, staff, and Renew Missouri, all which raised legitimate and serious concerns on procedural issues. staff was basically saying that, making a change at this time will increase the revenues that Evergy, Missouri will recover beyond the revenue requirement that was ordered in the case. So you're setting the policy side. If we do make a change, you are increasing the revenues to the company and at the expense of the customers. Then OPC brought up points on, this is the same thing that they had asked when they had filed for revision or for us to rehearing, which brings up a procedural thing of, well, we said no, we didn't rehear the case. They didn't appeal the case. They chose not to appeal. But then to come in this late and basically ask for the same thing that they got denied for on the rehearing, sets up a lot of procedural issues of due process rights and things of that nature, which, they're objecting to strongly. And then Renew Missouri filed their comments, and they touched on the same things that staff said and stuff, but they also went into, the long-term implications of orders and what weight do they have if you can come in at the late of the game and just, change the whole order. So, I guess I was really like, how did we get here? And I'm not surprised that we're here at this point having this discussion today, because the reason we were here is because the company had told the commission that they were going to bring in TOU rates in their next rate case in 2016. But then the next rate case, they said, oh, no, we didn't bring them this time, but we're going to come and bring them again. And I think OPC brought this up, or Everett, or Renew Missouri. There were like 3 rate cases where they promised they were coming in. Plus they've had 13 or 14 pilot studies, and then they just continually said, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And then they didn't, and then they didn't. So then based off of the, case discussion a couple weeks ago, there was information provided that, hey, if this is something you want to do, and then the company went way beyond what was even suggested. And at the end of the day, what is the company supposed to do? The company's supposed to look out for their shareholders. I get that. I don't fault them for that. I'm not saying that. OPC stands up for the ratepayers. Everybody plays their part. But again, it's like, well, we're going to promise the TOU rates. We didn't, because, well, it's going to affect our revenues. We don't bring it in. We don't bring it in. We don't bring it in. Then they have an option here to there might be some support for an option when they come in and they want to reinstitute the flat rate, which would be a huge windfall for their revenues. So again, they're standing up for their shareholders. They're trying to maximize their revenues every possible way that they can, and I understand that. So I was not surprised that when they, with their original filing, asked for a lot more than what was maybe suggested that there might be support for, because that's what companies do. They come in and they ask for $380 million rate increases, hoping they get 60, and stuff. So they always do that. But then I step back, it's like, well, how do we even get here to this point? And I thought staff brought up a great point in their filing. This is almost like a 9th inning solution to a problem that they kind of helped create. And the fact staff pointed out in their filing that, Liberty has had time of use rates since October. They educated their people. They communicated very well. They gave great information, and you haven't heard a peep out of it. You haven't had complaints. And the fact that the company is pointing to, well, it's a lot of miscommunication, a lot of stuff out there. I mean, I had really high hopes that, Evergy did a great job when they were changing their name, from KCP&L after they bought Westar. They did a great job communicating with the customers when it was in the shareholders' interest. But here, man, they spend more time talking about how much they didn't want this, and everything was, mandated. There was a lot of confusion out there to customers, and staff even pointed out, just even the name changes, the names are so confusing. There's just a lot of just confusing information that's put out there. And so to come in here late in the game and say, well, there's so much confusion out there, we need this solution. And their solution is to give us more money, give us a bigger revenue. So where I am on this is from a policy side. Yeah, I can make both arguments on where the default rate should be and the policy side. We went back and forth on that and stuff. I still think you should be on the one where the customers are going to save the most money. But, you know, there's disagreement amongst our commissioners. I don't fault them for that because we vacillated back and forth on it. But the procedural side of this is really getting murky and muddy, I think is not the way that we should be approaching. And I think is if it's not unlawful, it's definitely skirting that line. And I'm afraid that if we move forward with these types of things that, you know, we're going to court, because based off the number of people that have already objected to this filing, I think we lose. So Judge, I know you don't need anything from us today, but I would say we probably should reject those initial tariff filings. Because if we don't, then they go into effect. Regardless of what the company, if they choose to file tariff rates, tariff sheets with their amended application in the future. But if they don't, and this sits out there, I think we should move forward with rejecting that. Still have time if there's other motions and filings made on that. But at the end of the day, people are smart. They're going to the website. Had 70-some thousand people pick rates. They're not all flocking to the default rate. Some are picking the super aggressive. Some are picking the other. And that's what we wanted people to have, was choice. So regardless of what the policy ends up being there, people are having more choice amongst their rates than they've ever had. They have the opportunity to save money, regardless of what default rate that they are there. And at the end of the day, I think that is the best thing for the customer. I'm saddened by the amount of fear, miscommunication that is out there. There's no reason for people to be out there just having fear over no reason. I mean, we get reports from our call center, and they're coming in and they're having a lot of complaints with the company's call center that they can't explain the things very good. And after they call us to complain and our staff kind of walks them through it, they're like, oh, well, that makes total sense. You give people good information, clear information. They're smart. They will do what is in the best interest of their family, and it's up to them to choose. And so the communication moving forward from the company, I'm glad that they recognize that at least the names were really confusing, but I know they took that out of the last one, the last filing. But give people quality information. They can make up their minds on what is best for them, and that's what's getting lost in this. And so, Judge, that's just kind of my thoughts on the situation. I don't know what the company is going to do in the absence of the company not doing anything. We do need to act on those original tariff filings because they did not file the tariff sheets with the amendment. So, don't know if that helped you at all, Judge.
Thank you.
No, are you going to give an opportunity for
Yeah.
member to?
Oh yeah. I just want to make sure, like, because he said he didn't need anything. It was like, oh, yeah. But yeah, no, we'll go around like we always do. Always do that. Definitely want to hear from everybody. Commissioner Coleman.
Oh yeah, I got some remarks. I'm just trying to decide where I'm gonna go as far as how much I'm gonna say. I can keep this short or I can make it long. But I certainly want you to know, Mr. Chairman, that I agree with your remarks about the procedural and policy considerations on this matter. I suspect that Evergy's filings may have been spurred as a result of the rampant misinformation and fear-mongering directed to consumers. I appreciate that you mentioned Liberty's time of use rates, and we haven't had all the confusion with those, but somehow Evergy's time of use rates have resulted in procedural drama. As the judge mentioned, responses and filings from other parties are due on September 25th. That's this coming Monday. So I will withhold some remarks until we've had the opportunity to review those filings. But I would like to add that I support rejecting the initial filings so that they don't automatically go into effect. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Olson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was the only no vote on this order when it originally was in front of us, and I voted no, and I publicly stated why, because I was concerned that the default was a little too aggressive for the vulnerable populations that we have in the service territory, and that there was no plan for net metered customers. Those were the two real strong reasons why. We had a presentation by Evergy that went over some of the data that they have been able to glean since this was pending to take effect. And I thought that was interesting to get an insight from their perspective on what the implications would be for this policy to go forward. And I felt like the response from the community, whether it was driven from misinformation or not, the response from what we've heard in that presentation meant that we needed to take a look at the policy that we had our ability to take a look at. And on August 31st, we had a discussion here in this agenda that laid out a fairly narrow path for what we felt like was a possible review. And in that discussion, we talked about returning a default position to the low differential, moving it from the high differential to the low differential. And in that discussion, we also talked about the name changes and how we felt that the name changes would be beneficial to get rid of some of the misinformation that might be out there or the confusion as to which plan they were going to be a part of. As you pointed out, the company in their tariff filing went beyond the scope of that discussion, and we had the resulting feedback from the parties that were not supportive. And that has caused the procedural side to be in doubt, when the policy side, to me, is something that I think we have the support to at least review and discuss. My question to the judge is, if the company were to file a substitute tariff at this juncture, and they were to include the narrow path that was laid out in the August 31st discussion that included moving to the low differential, which I think in their notice they've sort of identified, and potentially the name changes that we discussed in that. If that substitute tariff were to have that, are we still, and we were allowed that to go into effect of law for the tariff, would we still be in our procedural conundrum that we have that presents a little bit of concern for the commission?
I don't think so. I mean, that the company substituted its tariff sheets to reflect the amended application. I mean, the tariff is still pending until October 8th. And so the commission would have until October 7th to reject, suspend, approve the tariff, or let it go into effect by operation of law on October 8th.
Okay. And is it also correct in stating that the company has until December 31st for full implementation? So the runway for them to actually have this changeover is a little bit longer than what was initially thought of to be October 1st.
Correct. And the company pointed that out in its amended application that if it could get the application approved as amended and have tariffs in effect by October 14th, that would give them enough time to ramp up the TOU rates by the end of the year.
Okay. I feel that this commission should not be so constrained that we don't have at least some ability to be flexible, presented new information from a policy perspective that could potentially move the only no vote on the original order to supportive. I did not vote no because I don't believe time of use has a place in the future of energy policy. I do believe that time of use will be the future of energy policy. I also think that the entire country is watching what we're doing here and seeing how this goes and what kind of success we're going to have with a major utility adopting this. And so from a policy perspective, our job is to do the best that we can for the citizens. That's why we're here. And a default position of a low differential can be discussed as potentially a better option than what was originally adopted. I think that we should still review that option. And so if there's a path that we've potentially pointed to that could be presented, then I would encourage that path to be considered. That's my position.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Kochmeyer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm chuckling because where do I start? First of all, I know we have time is an issue because it's the clock is ticking to October 1st when this goes into effect. However, I've kind of said from the beginning, we need to do this and do this correctly so it doesn't end up in court and challenged and what have you. So we really need to do what's right and what's lawful and what have you. So with that said, I'm agreeing with you, Mr. Chairman. We need to reject that first filing that they proposed. The judge answered my question by answering Commissioner Holzman's question about can the company file a substitute tariff on its own, and I believe he did answer that as they could. I'm probably totally agreeing with Commissioner Coleman that let's wait and see what happens Monday and see what comes in between now and then. Knowing that we're up against a time crunch here, but like I said, we need to do things what's lawful so it won't be challenged in court down the line. So I'm not sure to say where I am at this time. I'm probably a wait and see. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate getting to spend time discussing Evergy's tariff filings related to TOU today. I hope that we can develop a clear path in which the Commission can continue to consider Evergy's amended application for action next week. As we all know, we previously had a case discussion regarding Evergy's time of use or TOU rates. During the course of that workshop discussion, I highlighted the list of issues and concerns raised by citizens, the media, political leaders, and the like. I don't want to repeat myself here, but those concerns are still outstanding. One of the paths to addressing those concerns was that Evergy could make a revised tariff filing with the Commission that revised which automatic or default TOU rate that customers would automatically be placed in from the high differential plan called the standard peak saver into the lower differential plan called the peak reward saver. That is, for all intents and purposes, a near standard rate. I think this would resolve many of the concerns that are outstanding. Following the public discussion in that workshop, Evergy did file an application and tariffs relating to TOU for our consideration on September 8th. Unfortunately, as been noted here previously, that application had several items for Commission consideration that were outside of changing the default rate, and as noted in many of the filings thereafter, potentially problematic for a host of reasons. Given the concerns in those filings, Evergy has now filed an amended application only to change the default rate as was previously suggested here. And I think maybe legally that also procedurally changed once they did amend their application what is for our consideration. And so I think that does have real legal implications. This change also means that no customer would automatically be placed or defaulted into the high differential plan. Only customers who actively chose to be in the high differential plan would be placed in that plan. I am thankful for that because as presented by Evergy in that agenda presentation, customers don't want to be told what to do and they don't believe they're going to save money. So I do continue to believe that immediate attention to this issue is needed. As such, I would like to see Evergy file tariffs that reflect their amended application, preferably before Monday when all other parties' filings are due. I'm aware of the high-profile nature of this issue, And like members of the General Assembly who have an ultimate policy goal or goals in mind when starting a legislative session, the path to the goal may not take the turns that you anticipate at the beginning. But in response, you pivot, adjust, and meet the parties where you can to get a resolution. And at the commission, we do the same, just with different procedures. Hopefully with the amended application and tariffs that will hopefully be filed that reflect the amended application, I believe we're on a path toward resolution, and that we will have mitigated the concerns voiced and ensure customers are not harmed. I'm optimistic we're going to get there, and I'm thankful that my fellow commissioners have engaged in this conversation with me. I look forward to participating in further discussion, revisiting this item with an order at next week's agenda once all filings have been made. I look forward to seeing what's filed. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Great. Thank you, commissioners. So Judge, it sounds like I wouldn't do any work on a filing rejecting their original tariffs, even though there's support for that, depending if they do file something. If they don't file something, then I guess we'll have to deal with that. But yeah, so it's take it easy until next week, right?
Will do.
All right. Thank you very much, Judge. Appreciate your time, your attention, and all the work you've put into this.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to the next. We have some other discussions today. We have records request number 1168. Taya Vardy, Energy and Policy Institute. Judge, what you got for us today?
This was just a records request under the Sunshine Law for some documents and emails. And among those documents was email presented to the commission or to the commission from outside parties. So it is under statute, cannot be released without an order of the commission. So I'm asking, and of that, there was a phone number, a couple of phone numbers that were asked to be redacted. And in the other documents, there's some personal information that's being redacted. So I just asked for the commission to vote to release those documents that are responsive to that request as redacted.
And this is normal procedure of redacting personal information when we release this stuff. So yeah, great. I have no issues. Any commissioners have any comments or thoughts on releasing those emails? No.
And I do need a vote.
You do need a vote. Okay. Well, we'll make the motion. We go ahead and approve the judge's request to release the information with the personal items redacted. I have a second.
I second the motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Coleman. All those in favor of that motion, please say aye.
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 Great. We have 5 votes on that. And well, where are you going? We got a publication list.
Publications list.
You don't have to sit back next to that. So yeah, this is for April, May, and June of 2023, which, man, you guys did a great job of getting us caught up on that, Judge. Thank you.
Well, that was maybe before me, but thank you.
Well, you know,
People work
I remember
hard to
when we
get
were
it.
dealing with these from a while back. So you've done a great job in your team and all those in part of the general counsel, all those of getting us caught up on that publication list.
So with that, we are trying to stay caught up. So these are 3 months of publications. The ones that were highlighted in the memo were the ones I was recommending be published.
Great.
And
Does any commissioners have any thoughts or comments on or changes to the list provided by the judge? Do you need a formal?
a vote also.
All right. Well, I'll make the motion. We can go ahead and approve the publication list for April, May, and June 2023 as recommended by Chief Judge, seconded by Commissioner Kolkmeyer. All those in favor of that motion, please say aye.
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 Approved 5-0. All right. Next up is our annual federal USF high cost support certification, which includes case number TO-2023-0436.
Got that note. from there. I don't know if it's accurate or not. Closed session.
It is not.
Oh, it is not.
Closed session. There is some confidential information, but it is just one document that is attached.
Well, Commissioner, well, thank you for bringing that to our attention so we don't go into the confidential information on that. So we can proceed, Judge?
Yes.
All right. So it looks like staff recommends certification of 64 companies. And so if we agree, the correspondence provided in attachment A will need to be signed. And then staff will ensure that the correspondence is submitted to the FCC and the USAC, which has to be done by October 2nd. Comparison to last year, it looks like 1 ETC has been removed and 7 ETCs have been added. The one that was removed was cited, the reasons were cited in staff's report. Basically, it's because they did not make their annual filing per our commissioner rules. So what's before us is to approve the 64 companies as recommended by staff for federal USF high cost support certification. You need an official vote on this one too.
We need a vote on that, and that is, yes, did we miss anything, Mr. Van Eschen?
No, I think that summarizes it
Great.
just fine.
All right. All right. Well, rather than go around the table, commissioners, anybody have any thoughts or concerns or things you want to discuss on this case?
I don't.
All right, then I'll go ahead and make the motion that we
Second, Holzman.
Thank you very much. Been seconded by Commissioner Holzman that we will be approving the 64 companies for recommendation by staff for federal USF high cost support certification and directing staff to get the correspondence submitted to the FCC and the USAC. All those in favor of that motion, please say aye.
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 All opposed? It's approved by a vote of 5-0. All right, heading on into scheduling. Wednesday, September 27th, agenda at 10:15 a.m. Wednesday, October 4th, agenda at 10:15 a.m. Friday, October 6th, evidentiary hearing in EC 2023-0395. This is Brent Felber complainant versus Union Electric Company, DBA Ameren, Missouri. That is a WebEx only hearing at 9 a.m. Thursday, October 12th, agenda at 10:15 a.m. Evidentiary hearing WO 2024-0036 and petition for the interim receiver of an order directing the council to petition the circuit court for the appointment of a receiver for Misty Waterworks. That is at room 310 commission headquarters at 9 a.m. Thursday, October 19th, agenda at 10:15. Wednesday, October 25th, agenda at 10:15. Thursday, October 26th, evidentiary hearing in WC 2023-0142, Michael A. Goad versus Missouri American Water Company. And that'll be at room 310 commission headquarters at 9 a.m. That is all the business I see come before the commission. Commissioners, anything you need to add on change on scheduling or anything? Appreciate your time and attention. Commissioner Coleman, glad to see you are healing well. We do look forward to seeing you, but don't rush it and make sure you take care of yourself. And I'm glad your surgery was a success. And with that, we wish you the best and thank you everybody for your time and attention today. We are adjourned.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And they're like, oh yeah, 6 to 8 weeks, you'll be